fanatics. Glad you could join us here for another edition, or the Super Bowl edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style. Where we gab about all things pro football, from the scoops of the regular season to the scores in the postseason and the picks in the offseason. Let's start gabbing.
The autumn winds move like the thunderous waves of Neptune's sacred palace. And here, amongst the blackened soil, lies the ragged hands, worn, torn, and callous. They await with cunning and vicious prowess, for the warriors have returned. Come on, Dutch! Don't do it! No way! Woo! 85! Crying out loud! Are you kidding me? You're driving me nuts! But behold.
Welcome back, you guys. Sorry it's been a few minutes, you guys, but hey, we've had a week to nod off and enjoy the festivities of Super Bowl week, or 2 weeks, I should say. As you guys know, Super Bowl 58 features the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, as you all know, most people have their preference, or who they believe have as the favorites. That's not overwhelming, but you can see the ESPN analytics says that the 49ers are pretty much 59-41 favorites to win Super Bowl 58. I find this weird because, well, in reality, the weakness happens to be the strength of one team and possibly the best in the league. That being, in my opinion, Brock Purdy is the weakness of the 49ers, whereas the strongest link, and possibly the strongest link in the entire NFL, happens to be Patrick Mahomes, who is quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. But most of you guys knew that already. Here's why that's very important. The Chiefs, however, and people like myself, whom have not given the Chiefs enough of their defense enough praise for what they do, they do just enough to make Patrick Mahomes' job easier. And I would venture to say that this defense has looked a lot like a Patriots defense we saw a couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, where they looked absolutely horrible for about 14 games during the regular season. And then all of a sudden they showed up with a defense that nobody had seen all season en route to a Super Bowl. And I'm just wondering if Steve Spagnuolo has taken up that look. The Chiefs defense was not that effective during the regular season. They were good enough. And I remember listening to one of the speakers from NFL The Fan. He was talking about how Patrick Mahomes was kind of pedestrian when he first came in, and it was like, he looked for tight ends and so on and so forth. Well, now that's all he really has. And I was just looking at his numbers, guys. This is just absolutely crazy when you look at Patrick Mahomes' numbers for the season. 401 completions and to 597 attempts. Guys, that's insane. That is just absolutely ridiculous completion. And that's counting all the drops, you guys. Oh my goodness. I mean, Kelsey is still there, but Kelsey is up in age, guys. I think he's 32, maybe 33. And they got some decent replacements, but I think it's just Patrick Mahomes is that good. He is that dude. And Brock Purdy ain't. People are going to sit there and say, well, he threw for 4,200, almost 4,300 yards. Can you see why? I mean, all the talk was about Purdy this week. And if I were Brandon Ayuk, I would be upset by that. You heard very little, if any, discussion about the 2 tremendous plays he made. Now, everybody knows about the big one with the helmet bouncing off the helmet and recovery that really set up the touchdown that just basically put this game away. But nobody talks about the first quarter where Purdy makes this stupid throw. Ayuk has to go up and play his excellent impersonation of a defensive back. And see, these are the type of things that I'm talking about, guys. Now, many of you know that I predicted that the Packers were going to beat the 49ers.
Dumb shit! Is that your best?
I predicted the Lions were going to beat the 49ers.
What a dumbass!
And honestly, I know a lot of you are going to say we don't do wouldas, couldas, shouldas. However, Brock Purdy has continued to show these same growing pains and ill-advised throws throughout the playoffs. He just hasn't paid for them to the point that it cost the 49ers. Now, he had, I think, 1 intercepted in that Lions game. But here's the reality. For everyone, even Nick Bosa, who is saying that this guy is more than just a game manager, and I respectfully disagree with Christian McCaffrey. He hasn't proven that yet. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was a couple of bad throws away from winning a Super Bowl. A couple of bad throws away from repeatedly bringing the 49ers back. But it's those little moments that can make or break your season. And with all due respect to all of those guys, Brock Purdy ain't that dude yet. I'm just keeping it in perspective because honestly, I was telling myself I was wanting to pick the 49ers because I believe that the Chiefs' ultimate weakness is the run game. I'm talking about stopping it. And ultimately, I think if Shanahan's going to win this game, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, Purdy's numbers are impressive, but the reality of it is the 49ers have the running game going. What I don't understand is why does Shanahan feel the need that he has to throw the football when you got games where McCaffrey's right there up over 100 yards on minimal amount of carries?
Bruh.
I just don't understand that. And what really is a worry if you're a 49ers fan, does Shanahan lose his head and decide that I'm just going to throw the football? Now, ultimately, in that Lions game, they got behind double digits. And in that Packers game, they were behind double digits. And you feel like you have to. But in reality, that's your best friend. Because you are afforded the ability to run the football. Because the other teams are going to decide, hey, look, they've got to come back from 14 down. They're not going to be afforded the luxury of running the footballs. So we're going to be able to pin our ears back and come straight ahead. Now, however, as I said before, Brock Purdy has been walking around with a rabbit's foot in his back pocket or whatever. Because the reality of it is, he has been the reason for a lot of the 49ers struggles. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, the Lions just came out and they did their thing. Well, Purdy wasn't good either. He was not sharp. And people are going to say, well, that last drive. Well, if Ayuk hadn't played hero ball, there would be no game to save, Brock. Because you weren't good. And I know, it's better to be good than lucky in some cases, and that's what you were. But as I said before, I think the keys to this game are going to be, if the 49ers are going to win this game, Brock Purdy does not need to be that guy. 49ers have everything they need. And this is kind of a swap of when they met back in 2019. Where the 49ers were this slow type offense and the Chiefs were this up-powered offense. And the Chiefs, I owe them an apology.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Yes, I owe them an apology. I said that this football team didn't have a good defense, and I'm gonna stay by that because honestly, they deserve their respect. I'm gonna back away from that claim. The defense has been very good in the playoffs, and Patrick Mahomes has not been able to be Patrick Mahomes-esque or Mahomes-ish since Tyreek Hill left, really. And honestly, I see the Kansas City Chiefs continuously doing what they do, but possibly this year making a move at one of the top wide receivers in the draft. I definitely see that coming if they have one of those sitting there, even though they're probably going to have a glaring need with Chris Jones being a free agent. And needless to say, the Chiefs can't afford, and I know people are going to say they did all this with the inadequate receiving core that they had, and just what they had. And first things first, they got to win this game. But if they manage to pull this one out, which I want to pick the 49ers, but then again, I also think Mahomes is just that good. He and Andy Reid, they just have a chemistry in knowing how to call plays and make the other team look just completely out of sorts. And what happened with Dan Campbell and the Lions last week, if you get behind the Patrick Mahomes like this, and I think with Steve Spagnuolo, and I think they proved it against the Ravens, even though the Ravens have their offense ain't San Francisco's. But I will say this, if Mike Shanahan gets ahead of himself, this will be the third team that has the type of guys in the secondary to make you pay. And I don't see the Chiefs making or giving Brock Purdy opportunities to make mistakes. I don't see it. I think they make them pay. And for this reason, I believe that the Chiefs are going to be that bend but don't break type of offense. And I believe for the third week in a row, the 49ers are sitting behind the 8 ball because of Brock Purdy. They're going to be sitting behind because you've got L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie, guys that will make you pay along with Justin Reed. These are guys that will make you pay dearly when you make bad throws. And honestly, when you look along this Kansas City defense, they have guys that they just make plays. It's hard to look at, and they will have Gay and Drew Tranquil. These are guys that fly around the ball. And yeah, everybody talks about his mobility, but here's the reality. It's not going to matter with that Kansas City swarming D. It's not going to happen. Because they're going to blitz crazy. And Brock Purdy, in my opinion, he's not going to have an answer. I think they confuse him. I think this is the game that Shanahan is going to have to lean on the running game. If he does not lean on the running game and they get behind early and you put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands with that crazy blitzing Kansas City Chief defense, it could be an ugly Super Bowl. I think Mahomes and company is going to do what they do. They're going to maintain this football game. They're going to slowly run the clock out, methodically, get ahead early, methodically wear the game down. That's what I see for this game. And I think ultimately the 49ers are going to try to run this thing back. Purdy is going to do what he's done, like I've said, the last couple of weeks. He's finally going to make mistakes that are going to cost the 49ers and make the 49ers reevaluate their quarterback situation. And as I said before, I love the 49ers running game. McCaffrey has just been out of his mind this season. I wish him the best. Wish he was still in Charlotte. But unfortunately for them and himself, I would love to see him get a ring. Brock Purdy ain't that dude. Y'all are sitting here saying that this guy is this and he's that. When you've got guys like Debo and Ayuk and McCaffrey and so many other weapons, including George Kittle, guys that are just that good. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Kansas City's just been able to continuously pull out victories week in and week out during this run. And so when so many people said that they have been at Arrowhead for their entire Super Bowl runs or their runs to the Super Bowl. And this year was the first year they had that one game against Miami in their building. The rest of them, they've been World Warriors up into the Allen and Mahomes matchup yet again. This time it was in Buffalo, and he still managed to pull that out. So we'll see if Mahomes is able to wrap this up and get another title and march a step closer. As many journalists are talking about him marching towards Brady. So I guess this could be a realistic talk, considering a couple of years ago when Brady beat him head to head, so many people said that this matchup was over. That when Brady walked out and beat him head to head in New England, there was no way he was going to get a chance at being the GOAT. But I think if he wins this one, there's a serious debate brewing here. I really do. I think it could be a situation where Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are continuously just going to settle for run-of-the-mill type of receivers and stack up on elite defenses because they paid the best player in the league, I would say about a third of the cap, a fourth of the cap, and fill those other 52 rosters with really good players on the defense and just average players on the offense, with the exception of the offensive line. So that's just my take on it, and I honestly believe this game's going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs by a field goal and could possibly give anywhere from 3 to 10 points, depending on property, once again. But that's going to do it, you guys, for Super Bowl 58 and the last pre-show of the 2023-24 season. I will hit you back here after the game and talk about the award ceremony that took place Saturday night, you guys. But I'm taking the Chiefs as Super Bowl champs, back-to-back champs, if you will. And let me know what you guys think of the show in the comments, as well as going to Gridiron Gab Pro Style on Facebook. Let us know what you guys think of the same name. And also look me up on Instagram at Mr. CeeLo, as well as prepare yourselves if you are a basketball fan. I will be going live here soon on that channel as we approach the trade deadline, and let you guys know what I thought of the upcoming trades and the ones that needed to be made and the ones that should not have been made and the ones that I'm scratching my head on. But until the next time, you guys, same Gap channel, same Gap platform.
But behold, there is a warm breeze that comes from the west. The blazing sounds of victory fuel their everlasting quest. It is a call to arms, for they are here. An army that has the will to challenge and the will to dare.